Do I need a mic? Hey, can you put the slides on, please? If you yes. So, hello, my name is Anton Gauffin. My Chinese friends call me Anton Gauffin. So if you look at the business card, I was very happy to get my Chinese name on the last trip to Beijing. How many of you are doing free-to-play games or running a startup? Excellent, excellent. So then you are in a right session, and the purpose of my talk is to hopefully inspire some more Polish developers to do free-to-play. I've always felt that in Poland, relative to the amount of talent, development and design talent there is in this country, that there's too little free-to-play business ongoing. So hopefully I'm able to give some tips and help more free-to-play business going on in Poland. And what we are going to talk today, I've divided it into basically three parts. I'll first tell a bit about myself, about my company, story so far. Then we'll talk more about free-to-play, and I think the real beef is how do we do it at Huge. So I'll show a few examples how we do it. And lastly, time for some Q&A. So, part one, story so far. There's a lot of details in here. We'll start from 2002. I'm from Finland, and I started very early on mobile gaming. And at that time, when I started, I actually started doing browser flash games. And I have the pleasure of showing the first ever trailer we did on TV during that era. What happened was there was a strong push coming from Nokia that, hey, you guys are great in doing games, why don't you do games for these devices? And pretty soon after we started the company, we started moving from flash games to mobile Java games. And I've been doing mobile games for the last 15 years. So I think I've learned something about creating small screen experiences. So this is very small. It's a bit loud. Can you put slightly? I cannot control the audio from here. It still looks cool. So from this to mobile games, and in 2006 I came to Poland. So after the early success we had achieved from 2002 and 2006, we went and opened our studio in Szczecin, and pretty soon after that, actually also in a couple other cities in Poland. And I think I'm still on the same trip, the funny thing is. So I've been doing mobile games in Poland 10 years already. And why? I didn't know much about Poland at that time, but instantly I realized that there's a lot of talent, amazing amount of talent, and we in fact brought the whole core team from Finland to Poland and started building games in here. And I think it's been one of the better decisions I've done as a businessman. Moving on, since the studio was started in Poland, we ended up selling the company in 2007. So the investor sold me a dream. Let's do a merger, you will do a partial exit, and you will achieve your goal of becoming financially independent. So I became paper millionaire before I turned 30 years old, and sold the company, and what happened was pretty much like this. So after the initial excitement, the day after, I wasn't that happy. I was no longer in control of the company, and things didn't go like in movies. The market started to change, and my team was somewhat stuck being part of the larger company, but life goes on. And this story is far from over yet. I had chance to then move to Silicon Valley. So in 2009, I packed my bags and head to Silicon Valley, where we opened our US operations. And what I learned a lot while I was living in California. The one thing what I was missing was doing hands-on products. I was missing being with the team, doing games. But I learned a lot about how the Silicon Valley companies operate, and what was their approach with the company culture that they talked so much. And during this era, the team created great games. Most of them were featured, but not fantastic free-to-play products. So the transition my team had from basically paper download model to free-to-play, there was some hiccups as well. It was that transition took a bit longer than we were hoping for. And then what finally happened in 2014, 7 years after I had sold the company, I had decided actually to move on. So I'm a startup guy, and I started a new startup and convinced my family that we should go back to Europe, that Silicon Valley is not the right place for us to bootstrap a new startup, too expensive. And I take my family back to Berlin. Pretty soon after we land in Berlin, opportunity opens to buy the company I founded in 2002 back. And I didn't hesitate a second to have a chance to tell my old teammates that we are putting the band back together. And one of the happiest moments I've experienced in business so far. And this is from the day we announced that we are back. And there was so much energy, and pretty happy day, an emotional day for me. And what we agreed to do was that the company I created in 2002 was called Game Lion. So we decided to move on and start a new chapter, make it huge. And we are not stopping before we are now on top, and still working hard every day to keep up with that promise. Okay, so you've heard a bit about my history, the company history, and what about Huge? What are we actually doing? we are building free-to-play product platforms, and to be more precise, we are building real-time online games for mobile. And at the moment, we focus on so-called social casino category or free-to-play casino games. So we are one of the very few games that offer real-time online experience in this category, essentially giving you the chance to play, chat, and have fun with other people in real time. Casino or social casino, it's about $4 billion USD market, so it's a pretty big niche market, and it's brutally competitive. And in order to succeed in that niche, we are very much focused on bringing innovation, and with the innovation competing with the bigger companies than us. The quality in this slide looks to be a bit bad, but last November we raised our Series A round from a leading VC from Korea called KIP, Korea Investment Partners, and actually the two LPs that invested on us were Nexon and Naver. And we did a lot of work with European, US and Asian VCs before finding these guys. So for all you startup guys who are looking for funding, perspiration is the key. So you may need to have several hundreds of meetings before you find the right guy. And at least I did have a lot of meetings before finding the right partner. Okay, enough about history. Let's talk about free-to-play and what do you need to do to succeed in it. First, a fact. It's a very big global market that has a lot of genres, and there's different flavors of free-to-play. We are not able to cover all those today, not even trying that. And if you are looking some silver bullet for your business, my recommendation is to stay seated. I'm sharing one later on in the presentation that hopefully will help you quite a bit. And I assume that most of you already know the basics of free-to-play. And if you look at distribution, you need players. You want them to keep playing your game as long as possible, and of course you need to make some money as well. So on surface, free-to-play looks pretty simple, but when you go a bit deeper, there's a lot more complexity, and as the industry is so brutally competitive, it's a pretty tough business model to get in. And but the good thing is, when it's moving and evolving so fast, that offers, of course, possibilities, opportunities for the newcomers. So you can you don't need to necessarily be master of everything. You find your own thing and focus on it. And whereas we are not going to cover all these free-to-play essentials today, I'll say that the key thing for any free-to-play business is pretty much retention, and that's at least how we approach our business. If you are not, distribution is so expensive, depending on genre you are working on, but especially for the social casino, distribution is the #1 headache for the publishers, and unless your long-term retention is exceptionally good, it's really hard to make a good business. So retention first tends to be the right approach for the free-to-play business. Okay, what do you need? What do you need to do all that? So how to get there? Let me first still say that no war has been won with the marketing. So I don't recommend anyone to, if you don't have a great metrics, keep working on that product layer and get the metrics to such level that you can actually do profitable ROI positive performance marketing. And so I don't think you need a massive marketing budget actually to do free to play. That comes later on if you have a good product. And the next things what I'm going to share, I'm more wearing my investor hat. So I've been also doing angel investing, and what are the key things to look at? It all starts putting together a great team that has talent, passion, ambition, vision, and a lot of cojones. So I like one investor once told me, be humble but have big balls. I think it's been one of the better advices I've been getting from a VC. So team, I think it starts and ends in having a team that can really build success. And how do you do that? How do you create a team? That's more harder and maybe a topic for another presentation. So when you have your great team for building a free-to-play business, of course you need a product, and to be more precise, what you need is metrics, and it's nowadays whether you would be looking to do publishing, so self-publishing the game, or do a publisher deal if you wouldn't have, let's say, competencies or understanding of how to do publishing and distribution. I think nowadays it's very hard to do even early stage funding deals or publishing deals just with the good looking product or even with the great game, because there just unfortunately are so many games out there that what you need is metrics that look promising and a plan and a vision how to make them awesome. So you need that. And for free-to-play business, essential thing is to keep moving fast. And I'll tell a bit more about that in the last part. How do we do it at Huge? But these free-to-play games, they are never ready or never finished. They are more like a services that you keep making better all the time. And a key thing there is to be able to do frequent live ops as well as keep updating the product based on the feedback and data points you are collecting from your players. So it's a very data heavy business and business model to work on. We do ourselves bi-monthly binary updates, and we do weekly live ops, often several live ops per week. And we've created a specific structure to be able to do that. And that's what I'm sharing next. And before getting to that, still I think it cannot be overemphasized the love and passion that the team, the company should have in this business. There just is too much competition that if there's no love, it's very hard to succeed. How do you scale love is hard, but what I believe is one thing there is ownership. So if you are able to actually scale that type of ownership within the company, that each of the people working for a product would feel that ownership, that usually helps in getting the love and passion to your product as well. Huge way. So now you know a bit more about me, about our helicopter view to free-to-play. Let's talk how we do it. And the most, I think, interesting part of the presentation. This is our team's model, and since we started the huge, we have currently 3 studios, 3 locations: Szczecin, Bydgoszcz, and Warsaw, and we've spent a lot of time in thinking how to set up the free-to-play operations correctly, and it starts from here, that we have a very lean organization, that we are now about 100 people, but there's not much hierarchy or many layers in the company. What we have is executive management, so it's basically me and my management team. And then we have a very important part of our business called leadership team. We have in our leadership team about 20 people, and the way I look at the leadership team, that they are all teachers. The purpose of the leadership team is to teach to the others what they know, and that way make our business, make the whole team huge, better and better. So it starts about that type of approaching the leadership team as a teachers. I think that's very important. And then if we look at these individual boxes here, they're actually all sub-teams, what we have. Some of them are very common ones, like we have their legal, HR, finance, and so on. So I think there's less need to open those up. But I'll go few of these, what we do in each of these. So we realized that when we started the company, we had basically artists. So there was a big group of artists, and yet these artists were doing different things. When we grew, there was more work going on with the ad creatives. There was more UI work, there was more UX work, so we realized that it's much better set up for us not to make a team of artists, but actually look at the different functions for a free-to-play business. And at least in social casino, content is super important. So some companies even claim that the content would be the most important thing, and for sure it is. So that's what the players are looking for when they play games. They like to have quality content. So we have a content team that's not only creating content, but they are all the time doing regular A/B tests. So they are all the time checking what content resonates and what doesn't. And we've learned that actually it's equally important than adding content is to remove content that doesn't perform. So the alternative cost of keeping bad content or not great content in your product is not good. So when you reach certain tipping point, when there's a lot of content, start removing bad content. And obviously there's different type of content, so it's not only art but all sorts of content, from audio to even nowadays this team is thinking about haptic feedback. So how do we do haptic feedback with our games? Product experience is all about creating essentially new screens, new UX screens, and owning the user experience of our products. And that's one of my favorite themes in the company. I love doing that myself as well. Project management. We, as a business, we operate these free-to-play product platforms. So these project management people are running these, executing our roadmap. Live ops in free-to-play business, especially in social casino, much of your engagement, much of your sales comes from doing successful live ops campaigns. And we are doing constant A/B tests also on game economy and of course aiming for better metrics. So and sometimes it's really hard to when you move so fast as we move. So there's several changes going on at the same time. So how do you read these results of a test can be hard but very important part of free-to-play business. You notice that we have a distribution team, and then we have also here performance marketing team, and I'm happy to tell what's the difference, because they are both essentially aiming for the same thing, to get more players. So the performance marketing team that aims to of course do successful UA, user acquisition, paid UA. So essentially buying quality players as cheaply as possible. The distribution team focuses on, there's a lot of talk in the industry about ASO, App Store Search Optimization. So we've built a smaller team around that they are all the time doing Google experiments. So we have any given time when we have multiple apps out, like half a dozen A/B tests or sometimes AX tests going on, where we test icons, banners, different descriptions, and we've seen massive gains by doing that. So I warmly recommend to all mobile gaming companies to utilize Google experiments. It's a fantastic tool to get so much more performance out. And I think for many companies, the problem is that they fall in love with the icon. They fall in love with the brand. So the brand starts to dictate distribution. And distribution is just the #1 problem usually for mobile gaming companies, especially in social casino. So there's no point that you would take handicap. The brand needs to support distribution, and it's not good if you don't allow your company, your apps to benefit from constant A/B testing on that layer. And we have, of course, a smaller brand team that manages the huge brand and our games as well. There's less going on. Same in PR. You can easily do as a new comp. You don't need to do all these. You can do much less and use some agencies. It's not that expensive. When you get to certain scale, of course, there's opportunities in doing BD partnerships, global market, a lot of companies. What do you do, example, in China? So it's very hard usually for Western companies to succeed there without partners, and that's the purpose of that. Finance, legal, I think we don't need to talk about those. I'm skipping also HR, QA. Development is also, I think, clear. The player services is important area, and I think that deserves a moment from this talk. So initially we called it player support, and the player support was always replying to tickets, and I thought that was a problem. So I wanted my team to be more engaging and discussing with the players. So we totally changed it, and we no longer call it player support. It's player services, and what type of things we are doing there is VIP management. We have even a whale monitoring. So when the best paying players are playing, we see that, and the player services team is ready to help. They are serving them. So they are basically owning the player relationships we have with our players, and we are now ambitiously looking to do that on a global scale. So we've hired a lot of native speakers to be able to give to communicate in different languages, and it's something that we are still looking to do a lot better. There are also a lot of companies that outsource this, and I'm not saying that you should do all that in-house. I'm just sharing how we are doing it and what we are doing with each of these teams. Business intelligence, BI, very important in free-to-play business. In order to succeed, you need to understand your numbers, and we have now on BI team, it's 4 persons strong. I think the 4th person just joined, and their job is, of course, to serve everyone in the company, give them insights, and they are also taking care of the monetization optimization, and both IAP as well as the ads monetization. So as we like many other companies, we monetize with both IAPs and with ads. We've seen that there's a big differences. As for an example, when you do ad monetization, the CPMs, eCPMs of the different networks. So the BI team is doing waterfall optimization based on geos, and we have our own tech for that. Many other companies choose to use some existing mediation solution that can do that for your behalf. And very closely connected with the BI, we have the performance marketing team, and that's also the biggest cost unit at the moment for the company. So in social casino especially, you need to spend quite a bit to be competitive on the paid user acquisition front, and we've made the decision to do all that in-house. So we don't use any agencies, and our in-house team is constantly experimenting new ad creatives, creating new ones, and testing new channels, and that way, while we are making the product metrics better, increasing our scale. How this looks from our in-house team perspective, we communicate internally with each of our employee with giving this type of a quick snapshot with these teams. So summarizing basically the direction these teams are going. So not only what these teams are doing at the moment, but where they are aiming for. So making it very easy to understand for everyone what the whole company is doing. And one thing we've done, if we go actually back here, you see that we actually use these hashtags. And why we use hashtags with the team names? We've aligned our in-house communication with Slack. So each of these teams we've built, they have a Slack channel, and it's like an open room. And when you are already in size of about 100 people, what we are, the in-house internal communication is hard, and we have 3 locations. It becomes harder. So, and it creates all sorts of problems. So for us, really thinking the company structure, the organization model, and then aligning all the names with this Slack channel has helped a lot. And this is just a screenshot from our BI channel where we discuss about the product metrics. And it's an open channel, so whether you are a designer or developer, you can take a look what's going on. And that type of transparency does good things for a company culture. And this is the silver bullet. So if there was one thing what I learned during my Silicon Valley adventures, it was that the company, the longer you look, the more important it becomes. And my advice for all Polish startups would be to think about this, think about your current company culture, and think how scalable it is. So I would highly recommend to do company-wide stock option program, if only possible, as I firmly believe that that type of ownership increases passion and love you are getting from the people. So, and we are still obviously making heavy effort every day to succeed in this. So when you are hiring new people and onboarding them, it's a lot of work. But that's, I think, the big opportunity for Huge, bigger than what we are now building, is to build a successful company culture in Poland, utilizing the same tactics what the Silicon Valley companies are using. And this is how we look today from a quick breakdown point of view. So we are about 100 people, and in free-to-play you have also people in these a lot of people doing something else than coding. So I think less than half of our people are actually developers nowadays, and for me it's quite important that that ratio wouldn't get too big, that at least half of our people would be actually hands-on coding and creating products. This is how we look at the moment, and we are now, I think I did an internal post that huge goes Wayne Gretzky. So we are 99 strong and looking for the 100 one to join our team soon. And I think that's pretty much it. So before I give the mic for possible questions, there's one more thing. We are hiring. We are hiring in each of our locations. So, and what we are looking for is people with high potential. So whether you would be veteran of gaming industry or a student, so please reach out. There's lots of open positions at the moment. And lastly, special message to all you lost boys. So since I've been doing mobile games in Poland, I've started to call those people who worked with us but are no longer with us, they are lost boys. So if you are one of the lost boys, know that I want to talk with you. And that's in contrary what you may have heard, I'm not dead. And please give me a call, and we'll talk more. That's it. Thank you.
We still have like 5 minutes for any questions, so opening a discussion. Okay.
Hi. I'd like to know who ultimately has the say on ongoing feature development, because you mentioned you have product experience, you have live ops and BI, and the development team, so there must be some sort of struggle on to decide who has the head on, who owns the product, who decides where it's going to. And I would like to know how you settle that quarrel.
Me. that was a joke. So yeah, it's a good. We have a pretty open mic system. So if we would love people to take initiative and suggest new features, and how we do road mapping, we give points. So we give points basically on what's the expected impact on these key free-to-play things, like does it help social aspect, does it help distribution, does it help monetization. At the moment we are, the score heavily favors retention features. So, but ultimately, it is the product owner that needs to make the decision, and I'm often advising there, and it's a team discussion. So, and it definitely helps to make those decisions that you have a systematic way of valuing new features, and it also puts you to do more work. So it's not that I like this or you like that. In Huge, before we could start working on a new feature, we need to do all those mock-ups fully done. So we've done too many mistakes as a company that we've been too eager to do things before we had properly, planned and estimated those things. So yeah.
Hi, can you expand on the company culture? So what have you learned in the Silicon Valley that you want to implement here in Poland? What's the main features?
Good question. There's quite a lot, and we don't have probably enough time to cover all that. The key thing what I learned, I didn't do when I started my first company, company-wide option program, and I think the company, it limited the company potential in a way that some of the best guys were leaving, and I don't think all the people were giving as much love also for the games we were doing that they could have. So that's the one I think the number one thing what I brought back to Europe. Secondly, it was about building a very transparent, open door policy, but if to say one thing, it would be absolutely how the Silicon Valley companies approach options and giving that type of upside for all the employees.
So Anton, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.